woman, it's time to heal and feel, be real. You just gotta take your time, unwind and chill. Cause now it's time to love yourself. Build emotional and mental health. Cause Black woman, it's time to heal and feel, be real. Hey y'all, we're back with another episode of Black Women Healing Podcast, and today we have a special guest, and trust me, y'all really going to enjoy this episode. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest. So today we have Eric Kellum. He is an ordained pastor, author, and spoken word artist who uses his gifts to inspire, challenge, and heal through transparency and truth. Alongside his wife, Susan, he pastors Christ Culture Church, an online church, and leads Kellum Enterprises, a family business providing family content and coaching. Eric is the author of Sexual Healing and Soul Work, works that blend personal testimony with faith-filled wisdom to guide others toward wholeness. With a passion for men's coaching, marriage enrichment, and creative expression, Eric continues to help people win in faith, family, purpose, and sexual integrity. Okay. You doing your thing. I love that you included your wife in here too. Like this is beautiful. For those who listen, you know what's next. We do our icebreaker. We used to do a this or that. We're transitioning. So if you have questions, please send them in. Whether it's mental wellness, any type of mental health, even if you want to leave a comment, just send them in. But right now, we're reading from a forum. So I'm going to read this, and then I want you all to tell me what you think. Okay. It says, what is the worst thing you can do for your mental health?
That's the question. That's it?
Yep.
What is the worst thing you could do for your mental health? Oh my gosh, I could come up with a list.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is not being mindful of the people that you're around. Like if you know there is someone who, when you share something with them, they're going to say something that's going to impact you even further. Like you just know it. Being mindful about being around that person. I think that's like the number one thing that comes to mind. I also think like the second thing would be not honoring it. Like if you know like you're struggling and you're just like trying to trek along, you're not honoring it. I don't know. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
I think, I guess speaking as a dude, because we don't do this well enough, I think when you hold it in, you don't express like the stuff that you need to express is going to mess us up because we're going to suppress it. And then eventually we're going to explode in a toxic way. So not expressing it is one. And then one thing I found recently is, for me, not exercising. Like, I know that's physical, but that helps me think and like get my mind straight and just feel like a better sense of who I am when I'm doing.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, definitely. The body, everything works together, you know? Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about isolation. And it made me think, because I'm like, dang, sometimes people do need to isolate just a little bit. Like, get yourself
Just a little.
together. Don't come out here with that. But at the same time, I think if you isolate for too long, sometimes it could become your norm, right? Or like you're not even really getting a chance to work on some of the things because it's always just you. And I mean, all types of things can be induced just from isolation. Obviously, we have psychosis, but even just like anxiety and depression. Like imagine just you forever, like every day on repeat, just yourself. The thoughts that come in your mind, the things, nobody's there to challenge you, like it's just you. I think that can be really bad for your mental health.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
We hope that y'all like the segment. Well, today we're going to be talking about the unfair objectivity of Black women by Black men. But let's get to know Eric a little bit more. Pastor, author, spoken word artist, all the things. How did you get into these many fields?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know. I guess it kind of evolved. Do y'all watch? Y'all see the Avengers movie? I mean, I guess so. Like, you know, when the Incredible Hulk was Bruce Banner and the Incredible Hulk combined, it's kind of like, you know, I always knew I had a sense of probably from my upbringing, God was very real and close to me. Probably because I didn't have the functional family, so God became like my family, as strange as that might seem, and I always had a sense of that. But then I realized I was a pretty decent writer and performer, and sometimes it seemed like they were on opposite ends. To be an artist and to be a preacher just seemed like it was an oxymoron in some cases. But I
Mhm.
realized that the fullness of what I offer has to be like all of that coming together. So trying to use art forms as assignments to artistically help people see stuff that they may not necessarily see in a straightforward conversation.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes total sense. So since we're talking about unfair objectivity, can you even define unfair objectivity? Because I'm sure people are like, what does that even mean?
Mhm.
Absolutely not, but I can make an effort to talk about it. So like
Please, yes.
I give credit to my wife, Susan. We've been married for 26 years, and God desired for me to have 4 girls. Um
Ooh.
And so I could be honestly, I could tell you, Myra, I have been a culprit of unfair objectivity.
Hmm,
And I didn't realize it probably till when I almost lost my wife 8 years into the marriage.
okay.
And realizing I consider myself to be like the normal stand up dude. Like, I don't have a record. I went to school. I am trying to better myself, but not realizing to some degree there's a level that I only saw so much of my wife's soul because I was kind of conditioned to look at her for her body. And I put
Hmm,
certain limitations and roles on her that was subliminally kind of defined in society. Um, and it just, it's funny how you get challenged with this because there's certain little things about, these when this stuff almost hit the fan, there were some things that I had to ask myself, like, why do I look at her in such a way? Case in point, I grew up in the culture. I don't know. I think y'all are probably younger than me, but I grew up with rap videos, constantly seeing images of women in bikinis, hearing rap songs telling me
Mhm.
about different objects about women and how to portray them. Society telling me that an attractive woman, if she's black, she's got to be light skinned with long hair. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of putting together this object as opposed to this person. I
mhm,
remember the first time my wife, when she was in college, she cut all her hair off. And it was for the first time in my life, I was like, "You know what? You look beautiful." Up until that
Mhm.
time, I was thinking a black woman to cut her hair down short was like that just went against the norm of what you saw because I
mhm,
saw a particular object, but she was breaking that. And she grew her hair out. And then it's funny because fast forward probably into our marriage with the kids, man, she cut her hair again, and this time it was at a time when my girls was watching Disney. They was watching Hannah Montana. And then when she cut her hair, they was like, "No, mom, why would you do that?" And by her doing that, like to this day, my daughter, we just did a podcast. She just rocked her fro out for the podcast.
hmm,
And like she helped to liberate a set.
Mm.
She helped to liberate the thinking that a lot of us black men said, well, my woman is going to look like this. And she's going to
yeah.
have these features and she's going to do. And any other woman that doesn't look like that, you have to now conform in shape to look like that because that's the object of my affection. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's you and your beautifully authentic soul.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I could start there. I could actually go deeper, but I've been talking a lot. So y'all tell me if y'all want to go deeper.
No.
I think
Danica, were you gonna
I
say
think that
something?
yeah, because when I read this topic, I'm like, "Ooh, that's a mouthful," and even me, I'm like, "What exactly does that mean?" And so as you talked, I was like, really unfair objectivity means not treating, anything or any person as an object and treating them as a person. That's
Yeah.
really, like, the synopsis I'm getting, like,
Mhm.
the objectivity is anything you're thinking of them, like you said, like their physical appearance, like the things they have even, like those pieces versus a person.
So I was preparing for your question and I wrote it and I'm a writer. So I just wanted to read what I said exactly. I was trained to objectify women. Women never asked for it. Black women are gifted with beauty and curves. I grew up to worship beautiful women with amazing curves, rap videos, rap language, mindsets from toxic minded men. Black women are the most beautiful women on the planet. They are the threat among all other women, but your hair was subliminally suggested to be worse as opposed to being most glorious. Your bodies were subliminally influenced to be perverted instead of being revered. And the focus and sensualization of your bodies was intended to blind us from even beginning to see you for your mind, your soul, your spirit. So like, yeah. So I did this one piece once called Black Woman, because I'm a spoken word artist. And I was just really celebrating the Black woman for who she was and letting her know that I see her. And Danica, every time I would do the piece, I would get this response from Black women that's like, yeah. You know what they say, don't trust the poet, because he's going to just play with your words, but yeah, what's going on? And that challenged me. I was like, I want to go deeper with this. And so at that particular time, I happened to be reading about slave breeding. And I'm the type of person, I believe that one reason why we can't get rid of what they like to call woke ideology, we can't get rid of our true history, is because there's a humanity in our history. And sometimes we just look at history for facts that we don't look at how that impacted us as humanity. So I'm reading about slave breeding. I'm having these women, Black women, respond like, yeah, right, to my poetry. And then for some reason, it comes up with an excerpt. Can I share this excerpt from this piece?
Please.
It's an
Yes.
apology to Black women. And it goes like this. Black woman, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to use you. I never knew how to love you. I know that sounds like an excuse. It's true. I've been a poor excuse of a man. I understand that I emotionally abused you because I never really saw you. I selfishly saw myself penetrating past your gates into the comforts of your cozy abode, insisting it to be my own comfort zone while ignorantly ignoring the inconvenient illness I affectionately, infectiously inflicted, inserted, injected into your soul. Black woman, I'm sorry. I never knew how to love you. I was never trained to love. I was just trained to lust. I was just trained to lust. I was just trained. Okay, all right. Please allow me to explain. My enslaved male predecessors were perpetually predisposed to mate, procreate, relocate. Let me reiterate, mate, procreate, relocate. Okay, please let me demonstrate. So many Black male slaves were blackmailed to mate with multiple Black females. In detail, Black males got a whole lot of tail just to multiply merely for the multiplication of more slaves, mate or die. It would know Mental Health Awareness Month back then to encourage men to heal and war against a generationally cursed mentality. Free Black men continue to order what was on the racially systemic menu. Men, you, mate, procreate, relocate. I'll have what he's having. Mate, procreate, relocate. I'm horny and hurting, crying and laughing. Mate, procreate, relocate. I don't treat women like objects. Mate, procreate, relocate. Your Honor, I never raped her. She wanted it. I object. Mate, procreate, relocate. Papa was a rolling stone. Mate, procreate, relocate. Who you calling Papa? That don't make me a daddy just because we bone. So screw you, because I'm screwed, sexually unsatisfied, salivating with the thirsty soul. Sometimes this sex is all I got to get by, even centuries after slavery. A free Black man's body is still in bondage sexually, and this sexual bond aged from father to son, from decade to decade, from generation to generation. Slavery made many Black men monsters. And I share this piece not to make an excuse that slavery is what broke Black men, and that's the state that we should continue to stay in. But I just thought about it one day. There was an Emancipation Proclamation, and allegedly we were free. And prior to that, white slave owners are telling Black men, we need you to have much sex with as many women and get them pregnant and have absolutely no responsibility. Just get them pregnant so we can make more slaves. And Black men are doing that. Not saying it was all, but many were doing that for a certain point, and then they become free, but there's no mental health, there's no therapy, there's no healing. And these are systems that have been processed inside of a man that, just think about it. Like, I don't want to just have sex with you and take advantage of your body because that's morally wrong. But I'm dealing with the trauma of being on this plantation and all the hell that comes with it. And they're telling me I have to do it. So it becomes a behavioral condition that is no coincidence that after slavery, you hear a song like Papa Was a Rolling Stone, or Black fathers not taking responsibility of their children like in slavery. Or recently I've been working in Southeast DC, which is like the rough part of Southeast or DC. And I would normally do intake forms with students, and without fail, up until this very day, if I were to go to Southeast DC and say, how many brothers and sisters do you have? The response would, for most students that I would do intake forms is, well, on my mother's side, there's, and on my father's side, there's, and it's still an indication that that type of sickness and symptom that happened in slavery, there's still residue of it today. And a lot of that residue has to do with the objectivity, or how many men see women, not for who they are, but for what features they have and what they can do for us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
we
I think that is
we
like a
here.
perfect
We here.
segue. Yeah. That was like a perfect segue into our next question, because I feel like there's so much conversation around like gender war, like between Black
Mhm.
women and men. Like I feel like you can't escape it, right? Like I'm sure y'all have seen it. What are your thoughts on that?
It's real. It's definitely present. It's heartbreaking. It's really
Mhm.
heartbreaking because um don't judge me on this. I'm gonna take a back step to say this preface before I give the response. As far as that question, I've told my kids, and I stand by this: if they fall in love and that person happens to not be Black, as long as that person is willing to die for them and doesn't cause them to compromise who they are as a person, I can't be mad at them. But at the same time, I am all for the preservation of Black love, because our people as Black, the statistic is that if you're Black, you're less likely to get married more than any other culture or race. I think at this point, 30% of us get married in comparison to other cultures, which is like 50%, 60%. I think Indian is 70%. And that shows, Myra, that race war is becoming more and more real. And again, I think that has to do with a lot of divisiveness, a lot of, we've been trained to villainize the opposite gender as opposed to seeing the hurts and understanding what it's like to walk in their shoes. Here's a trigger word I'm reluctantly about to bring up to two Black women: angry Black woman. In that whole mindset that I can't deal with it, man. She's always angry and she's always this, that, and the other. And a lot of dudes check out because of that. Well, I've always been taught that anger is a bodyguard emotion, and it normally stands as a protection of a more vulnerable emotion. And so many women that may project anger, they're really hurting, or they're fearful, or they don't trust because someone else broke them. But we as men haven't been trained to see that. I can keep talking, so you got to cut me off. I'm sorry.
I'm really just
That was
wondering
good.
about. Yeah, no, that was a word. Anger is the bodyguard emotion. I'm thinking about, even with the gender war, and even just thinking of the objectivity, and like you saying, like with your beautiful poem about like the history and how Black men are, even how they even, why it's still conditioned, right? Um, my question is, what should Black men be doing? Like what are some solutions, right? Because fair enough, I know it's no cookie cutter solution, um, but like, what are some solutions?
I think, wow. First and foremost, it takes a lot of soul work, which is like a shameless plug for my poetry book, Soul Work. No, but it really does. It really takes a lot of soul work. The stigma of being a player. Uh, Anika, when I was 17, I was a part of the PBS. That's the Pretty Boy Squad. And our
Oh,
goal was to like get as many females' phone numbers, see what we could do with that, make moves. Again, imitating rap and imitating art and just going through the motions of what society tells us that I should do. But at some point, one, a man has to be accountable to all the reckless responsibility that he's done. And then he has to actually ask if he's really being a man or if he's just in a man body, because real men wouldn't treat women like they're just objects, and they wouldn't treat them like they have no souls, or that to have no feelings, and then actually ask the question, why do I feel like I need to be a player? Like, why do I feel like I need to play games with women's emotions? What is it that I'm trying to feed inside of myself that is causing me to go down this path? For me, and quite the answer to that is different for different men. You know, for me, my mom left me at a bus station when I was 5, and I'm healed from that. I know I've noticed now when I say that statement, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm good
Mhm.
with that." But you know, a traumatic incident like that happens, and in our community, you don't go to therapy. You just deal with it, and it's just a part of life. Well, that wasn't a part of life. Like, there were certain things I was picking up I wasn't aware of. So when I'm like 8 or 9 years old, and these older teenage girls on the street tell me that I'm cute and I'm going to be a heartbreaker, I fed that, but I didn't feed it just like for esteem. I fed that because I didn't have a maternal voice that was nurturing me and telling me I was going to be a heartbreaker. So I took any type of affection from any females I can get to feed something that was lacking. And then I had to finally get to a point that says, I don't need that. You know, I didn't mean to make this a therapy session, but I'm saying we as men have to do the soul work to see what is broken inside of us that we would lower the value and the standard of our Black women and not see them as sisters that we're supposed to support and believe in and show, be a demonstration of respect for. That's the first step.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that soul work, it encompasses so many different things. A lot of it, the first step literally is like awareness. Like if you can't
Mhm.
even acknowledge like that these things have occurred and they are happening, then I mean you can't even get to the next step. But um yeah, I think that even you being here, I'm hopeful that anybody, whether, you know, man, black person in general, listening to this recognizes how important soul work is. Um, but yeah, it's the individual journey and we got a long road.
Yeah, and you know what reason one of the reasons that I even asked you guys about, you know, talking about this subject, I was doing some of my poetry pieces and it was they were saying you pick your own theme of awareness. And that's when I started thinking about this awareness. I have noticed spaces where I don't know if you guys are familiar with Clubhouse. I've been in spaces where, you know, conversations are had between Black men and Black women, but they don't end well. And I've noticed spaces where some Black women are just angry and tired of being objects and they just insult and diss Black men. And it just goes spirals out of control. And then I've been in spaces where I've noticed Black women have been respectable, but respectfully saying, we're tired of being treated like second class citizens. We're tired of just being noticed for our bodies. We're tired of being disregarded. We're tired of just being something you can notch on your belt. And that's not to say that Black women don't wrestle with similar things, but they were respectfully saying that. And many men in the room still couldn't receive it because either of a lack of awareness or feeling like just because you're saying this, you're now attacking me. So it takes a lot of maturity on both sides to just identify the abuse that is taking place because of objectivity or certain things that have happened because of this war between men and women.
Yeah. I mean, as we're talking about this, thinking of the next question, like you said in Clubhouse, you've seen like the interactions. Do you believe that black men hate or feel threatened by black women? Black women.
Absolutely not. I don't believe Black men hate or feel threatened by Black men or Black women. Um, I believe Black boys hate or feel
Oh,
threatened by Black men, and there's a significant difference.
mm,
And many boys will reveal themselves real quick. A man doesn't call a woman out of her name. A man is responsible for seeing a Black woman as a sister first before he starts to he's going to notice her features. I mean, like a beautifully built queen is just going those are going to be noticeable, but he's not going to be so pressed to take advantage of her physical features that he doesn't see her soul and seeing how he can help build her or support her. So there are a lot of Black boys. I have another piece, but I don't want to like bore y'all. But it kind of speaks to that. If I could share this piece.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. I was like, peace.
Okay.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead,
I'm
share
sorry.
it.
It's a poetry piece. Black woman, I want to thank you for not forsaking Black love. for not backing out or blacking out on having the back of the black man. I understand you've been tempted to object. Your honor has been mistreated, mishandled, mistaken as a low-class sexual object and not as a princess or queen or daughter of the king. So many black males have been blackmailed to bully, belittle, and batter your black beauty solely because they were consumed by the beauty of the black booty. See, they were oversized bastard boys that never really grew up to be men. No, boys to men, more like babies to boys, perverted by their own lustful noise, singing, ooh, ah, ooh, 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 true. They may have caused you to come, yet only leading you to the end of the road when it comes to black love, all because they failed to honor you and commit on bended knee. But please believe me, miss, there still exists black men, good black men that have been built to love one black woman with a black love mindset. So going back to your original question, Anika, when we see these tensions and a lot of stuff that gets out of control, these are not black men. These are boys that never grew up. They're still doing boy tactics and normally they're, well, I don't want to go and create a stereotype for who they are, but that's not who a lot of black women who are looking to be productive and having those conversations are running into. And it throws a shade amongst other black men that are not in that category.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you feel like social media, like, plays a role in this at all? Like, because you
I
were talking
feel
about the
like,
music videos, now we got social media.
yeah, now we got
Mhm,
social media. So
mhm.
I do and I don't. I mean, I think it's always been there. I think social media and TV and other things have instigated stereotypes. But at the same token, I also think that so that's the don't. But the do is for many people, um, when I grew up, because I didn't have a solid foundation of family, I wanted to be a Huxtable. You know what I'm saying? Role models are created, people that I look up to, and I wish I was a part of their family or their influence has a significant impact. So, in that regard, yeah, it is probably some folks that are being impressioned on both sides of this gender war because of how heavy they carry the weight of what social media says. But a lot of the messages that we hear, they've been in existence. They're just more blatant. Like where what I was dealing with back with the rap videos is just more pronounced now. It's more direct, but it's been there for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely everywhere and it's in our face constantly, right? So I'm thinking of like even as you brought up like some of the media, I'm like, okay, even with commercials, it was like slow or it comes on at a certain time or you gotta go on this channel versus if you have social media, it's just there. Everywhere all
Yeah.
day. You're not trying to look for it. Matter of fact, I just muted. I still have Facebook. I like Facebook. It's like my family platform. And so I'm over here just chilling and I don't typically look at stories, but they play them just a little bit. They'll like play it at the top. And all I see is just a naked woman. What's going on here? And who is this? This my
Hmm.
friend that I can even see this. And it's like one of those influencer pages that I'm guessing the person got hacked. It's like one of those funny pages. I think his name is like Skinbone. I don't know if y'all know who this is, but it's just playing it like so immediately I just take it and you can mute stories and you can delete people and stuff like that. But it's like, I ain't even trying. This is my family platform. This is where I go with my
Mm.
family, have groups and stuff. Like, why do I have to see this? And so I'm thinking um if I were not even just a man, if I was a person who maybe was objectifying women in general, it may be a difference for me. Like it may go and buy into this thought processes that I'm already having. So it's everywhere, and you have to have a level of one, critical thinking skills, awareness, but also even understanding yourself as an individual. Like, cause this is an individual journey. It's community based, but a lot of it, as we're talking about this, I'm realizing it's based off of you as an individual and what you're gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was talking to a friend of mine actually this morning. We were talking about I'm working on a book now called Being a Father When You're Fatherless. And I said one thing that I think we overlook is that throughout the history of just Black life here in America, and I don't have any statistics to prove it, so let me give you that asterisk if somebody says cap or whatever. But from my observation, just hanging out with other people, for the most part, Black women have had a consistent mentor being the Black mother. And Black men have had many times an inconsistent mentor with the Black father. And not saying that, I mean, I am a father, so I'm not trying to enable a statistic that Black fathers are not in their lives of their children, but the statistic seems to be higher for men than it is for women. And I only bring that up. Social media is going to continue to enable stereotypes or send messages. But the main thing that we've got to do is make sure we're focusing on certain things in our home to break down certain mindsets. I didn't have a father telling me, yo, these videos that you watching, I know that appeases your eye, but let me tell you what the substance of a woman is really about. I didn't have any of that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't, so I think to some degree, we've got to be careful what we let into our eye and ear gates. But at the same token, we've got to start having these heartfelt conversations with our children. I was telling Myra, my daughters and I, we do a podcast, and the one we recorded today that we're going to release, I go back and I talk about when each one of them was 14, I sat down with them and I told them how I almost destroyed the marriage with their mom. And I remember the first time I told it to my oldest daughter, she looked at me like I was no longer a hero. She didn't want to look at me ever, it was rough. And we were just kind of recapping that. And I said, the reason why I told you guys that is because one, I felt like I had to close I'm a pastor, I believe in spiritual things, the generational curses or things that I might have given permission to. I had to shut that down. But two, I wanted to give you a realistic impression of what you're dealing with in the real world. Because I've always considered myself to be one of the good guys, but there was some stuff that I was battling and I needed to fix that. And it almost cost me everything that I valued if I didn't fix it the right way. And so that was a conversation that I had to have with my kids so that now that they're older, we can have conversations like that all day long. And there's no, like, in some families, there's certain stuff you just don't talk about. There's certain places you just don't go because there's still skeletons and stuff that people have never healed and got that awareness that you were talking about, Donika. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you for this episode. This is amazing. Do you have any takeaways for our audience?
I would give a challenge to Black men, first of all, to do the soul work. As Donika said, get the awareness, and if necessary, get the help. Ask the question, why do I, like, if this is you, why do I feel like I have to play games with women's emotions? Why do I have to date multiple women at the same time and not express what my intentions are? Or why do I put myself in those type of positions? Ask those questions, and there's possibly a root answer. And if you can't get it by yourself, then maybe you need to get some therapy or some counseling or get with an accountability group with other men, and just really talk through that. Because the more we are, the section of men that are continuing to participate in this type of behavior, one, you're continuing to enable the stereotype and you're making us look bad, and you're continuing to give Black women the impression that that's how all Black men are. To that point, my takeaway to Black women, please don't give up on us. And I speak to the sister that I can't even imagine what you've gone through, who hurt you, how many have hurt you, like the frustrations you dealt with. I know is real, and I'm not trying to insult you by any way by saying not to give up on us, but I know what is happening. I've been in circles with men who are now assuming responsibility for their behaviors and actions. And I'm seeing men want to not only change and be better, but also want to teach their sons something different. So I'm saying, please don't lose hope. I'm not mad at you. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Lastly, I had this conversation, and most of the art that I come up with is for us to continue to have a conversation, to have respectful conversations, to understand the challenges that we deal with as Black men and Black women, as opposed to pointing out each other's flaws and what's wrong with them and why we have a problem with them. Like, we've got to switch the conversation, but keep having the conversation so that we can grow and expose what's really attacking us instead of attacking one another.
Wow. Thank you so much, Eric. That is it for this week's episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. And be sure to tune in every Monday for new episodes, y'all.